Welcome to the Prophecy Club. Our topic today is the shortness of the hour. Now, I'm going to have to explain that, and we got to back up a little bit. I've got to do a little bit of a refresher in order to catch you up. Probably even if you've watched the last couple of programs, you're probably going to need a refresher on this one because it's really important. Okay, so the backup is 7/24/22. Vicki Goforth Parnell had a dream. And this is starting at the 11:50 mark. I covered this yesterday and the day before. Now look, daughter, at the world map again and tell me what you see. I looked at the black and white tabletop map, and I saw war steps. Okay, so what's her saying? He's saying these are the steps. These are the signposts leading to the fall of America. As you get closer to a city, you see a sign that says Dallas, 30 miles, Dallas, 20 miles. Dallas 15 miles, Dallas 10 miles, Dallas 2 miles, okay? That's what these are. These are war steps. These are signs letting you know just how close it is to the fall of America. Now, in my, 33, 34 years, something like that, I've been carrying the message, the warning of Dmitri Duduman, the fall of America would start with an internal revolution. And probably the number one question everybody wants to know is, when's Russia going to attack America? When's America going to fall? When are the bombs going to hit? Well, this is giving us another really big hint for those people that would like to know. So he says, I looked at the black and white tabletop map, and I saw war steps written in red, and I see different colored numbers on the different bodies of land. Lord, what are these numbers I see displayed? They're running from 1 to 6. Daughter, they run from 6 to 1. Here it is. For this is the beginning of the war steps until your once great nation of America is struck. Oh no, daughter, you know man has failed to repent of their sins and turn back to me. This is part of the forewarned and foretold judgment. I know, I responded sadly and heavily hearted. Tell me, daughter, what do you see? Okay, Jesus, my love, if we are counting down, I see Kazakhstan with an orange 6 on it. Ukraine has a purple number 5. This is really important. And by the way, I've got some new information for you today, thanks to our viewers out there. Taiwan has a yellow number 4, and I see Japan with a green number 3. But Jesus, my love, number 2 has 2 locations. There's a blue number 2 on both Hawaii and Guam. What is that? Little daughter of faith, once Taiwan is invaded by the King of the East, with China's forces, Japan will retaliate quickly. So will your United States. But not before China strikes upon Japan. With your military forces speeding to help Taiwan and Japan, China's forces with others shall attack the U.S. territories of Hawaii and Guam, meaning that's when America strikes. This will keep your military forces' heads spinning, and while all eyes are upon your once great nation of America, of Babylon, and China, then Putin of Russia, the bear, shall strike. He shall begin the first strike upon your land using various weapons. The power of the nuclei, the nuclear weapons, including hypersonic Satan weapons, will be used. Now, let's go back. Look at what it's saying. Kazakhstan is number 6, orange, Ukraine purple, Taiwan yellow, Japan green, Hawaii and Guam blue, and then the Russian attack on America. Now, here's what I did not know the other day when we talked about this. So some people sent me some articles. Thank you very much. And it said, actually, the thing with Kazakhstan, number 6 right up here, okay, right here, okay. Actually, they said, there was an incident with Kazakhstan. It didn't reach Fox News and some of the other news outlets, at least not that I caught. But some of our viewers out there said, oh, yes, there was something that happened with Kazakhstan. Here it is. This is from Reuters, a world government news, because they're all owned and controlled by the Molochs. Russia sends troops to put down Kazakhstan uprising as fresh violence erupts. So it says January 6th. Now that in date is important there. January 6th, fresh violence erupted in Kazakhstan's main city of Almaty on Thursday as Russia sent paratroopers to put down a countrywide uprising in one of Moscow's closest former Soviet allies. Police in Almaty said that they killed dozens of rioters overnight into the early hours of Thursday morning. Authorities said that at least 18 members of the security forces had died, including 2 found decapitated. More than 2,000 people were arrested. I think that's a pretty good-sized uprising. You see, when they protest in Russia, they just shoot them. Yeah, we protest here and we barely even arrest them, and then when we do arrest them, we turn them right back out. Not the way it is done in Russia. Now, notice the date here. That was January 6th. Then the next date, now this is January 10th. Kazakh leader declares coup d'etat over as Putin claims victory. After more than 160 people died in the most violent unrest in Kazakhstan's independence more than 30 years ago, its president on Monday described protests as an attempted coup d'etat, as Russia claimed victory in defending its Central Asian neighbor. Now, here's the conclusion of it. This is dated January 16th. Kazakhstan, a coup, a counter coup, and a Russian victory. The unrest in Kazakhstan led to a consolidation of power in the country and may affect the transition of power in Russia. Earlier this month, Kazakhstan became the scene of bloody events that put the oil-rich Central Asian country in the global spotlight. The violence killed more than 220 people. Now, here's the important part. It says the violence killed more than 220 people. How is it that they were killed? What happened, and this is going to be confirmed by Vicki Parnell here in just a second in the dream, is that Russian troops showed up, fired a couple of shots into the air, said back off, go home. They didn't, so they just started shooting them. The violence killed more than 220 people while the destruction of public property and disruption of economic life will cost us some $3 billion. The president requested help from the Collective Security Treaty Organization, a military alliance of 6 former Soviet countries. So, as the West has NATO, the Russians have CSTO. Anyway, it goes on to say here in the last part of it, its relations with the West were shaken over this. Now, what are these 3 articles telling us? It's telling us that this first thing here has already happened. So, Kazakhstan has already happened. We're going to put a big green check mark by it. We already know Ukraine has already happened. That started February 2 of 2022. That is the start of World War III as far as I'm concerned. This is when the start of the conflict that will lead to the fall of America. So this is showing us, number 6 is Kazakhstan in January. Russia sends troops to Kazakhstan. February, Russia invades Ukraine. Now what has happened in August? Pelosi visits Taiwan. So the real big question here is, should we put a question mark by Taiwan or should we put a check mark? I believe a question mark is correct because I don't think everything is happening in Taiwan that's going to happen. So says Vicki. Vicki Goforth Parnell, she said she had a word. Now, it's not a dream, not an angel visit, a word, but I believe it's of God. She says, a king to fall has fallen. A queen shall arise, but for a moment of time. Before the rightful king assumes his throne, his seat of power, it's time. A rejoicing for some and an uproar for others. A moment of false peace before terror begins upon your once great nation and world. All will hear this announcement upon the winds of change. The king is dead. That doesn't sound like flesh and blood. That sounds like God. He's trying to give us a hint of when this is coming. So here's my interpretation. A king to fall has fallen. There are several people in positions to know that believe that JB actually has been dead for a couple of years. I know you're going to say, oh, come on, you really believe that rubbish? Look, so he sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. If you don't understand that they have for over 6,000 years been preparing for 1 3.5-year period when the Antichrist can sit on the throne. If you do not understand that they have high technology that corrupted the first world of Adam, when the sons of God came down, made over the daughters of men, and they took wives, all they chose, their offsprings were giants, and the giants were mighty men of old. In other words, eternal, they weren't dying. If you don't understand they have technology far beyond anything that humans could possibly come up with, which is the reason they built the Tower of Babel, so they could communicate with these and get their technology. But if you'll listen to what I'm saying, I'm explaining to you the deep and secret things within the Word. I'm explaining to you the things of the last days if you can get it. So let's start again. A king to fall has fallen. And I believe it's saying that the plan was JB would fall. And they knew it, and he's been dead for approximately 2 years. A queen shall rise. Remember the prophecy where KH would come up behind JB? A queen shall rise, but for a moment of time. And the prophecy said that she would only be in charge briefly, and there would be a lot of problems when she came in. Before the rightful king, who's the rightful king? Who's it that really won? DJT. Okay? That's the rightful king. Who is it that had the vision, Henry Groover, that DJT was wearing a kingly robe? And did we not see another person of him wearing a crown in one of the visions? So DJT is the rightful king over this nation. Before the rightful king, DJT, assumes his throne, his seat of power, it's time. It's time. Okay, why did it say it twice? Well, it could be that it's the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, or it could be that he was supposed to get in 2016, yes, and in 2020, yes, and then a third time. There's another prophecy out there that said he's going to be in there 3 times. It's time, it's time. A rejoicing for some, that would be us, the people that want righteousness in our nation. A rejoicing for some, and an uproar for others. Remember, prophecy from Dmitri said some of the people will start fighting against the government. So not everybody is going to like it when DJT gets back in power. A moment of false peace, meaning that when DJT gets back in power, America and all the world is going to say, peace and safety. Oh, we got it all solved. We got it all fixed. Wrong. It's a moment of false peace, because the judgment that has been spoken over America shall come, the prophecy says. The judgment has been set, was told to Dmitri. A moment of false peace before terror begins. What's the terror? That's the Russians attacking. A moment of false peace before the terror begins upon your once great nation and world. All will hear of this announcement upon the winds of change. What is the announcement? All of the world will hear when the Russians attack America and destroy it. I mean, just like Dmitri was told, and all the world would be terrified. God raise up China, Japan, and many other nations. They'll go against the Russians. They'll defeat. Anyway, let's go on. The king is dead. So it's really telling you that JB is really dead. Oh, come on. I see him on the news all the time. Wait a minute. Is that really him? Or is that really an actor? Or is that a clone? Because the best sources say that can take one cell of your body, 2 to 3 months later, grow an exact copy, age-wise, of your body, including scars, and then they can transfer electronically, not spiritually, electronically transfer the knowledge of this brain over to this brain, from computer to computer. It's all done with computers. So the reason I'm telling you this is because I want to warn you. I want you to understand what is really going on. It's my call to understand these things. Now, what is that saying? It's saying that JB has been gone a long time. We've had both Coverstone and Parnell both come up with, these are dreams with angels visiting them in the dream, okay? We're talking about not just the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, but when you get an angel coming to talk to you and you lie about that, you don't live long. This is God. Okay, this is true. Like it or don't, it's true. Both of them have said JB is going to leave. He's going to die. Isn't that what this is saying? Now, go with me for just a second. So if it's true, what I'm saying, if JB's already gone, so KH comes to power briefly, but then DJT comes to his throne, and during his time in his throne is what Parnell was also shown that, as a matter of fact, she was shown in 2 different dreams, I think about it, is that when he is in power, DJT is in power, that's when the Russians attack. A moment of false peace. Will we not say, oh, peace, peace, okay, all right, America, we can start fixing this thing. If DJT were to get back in power, would we not say that? Yep, it's a false peace before the Russians attack. In other words, it doesn't solve our problems. It only delays them briefly. That's what it's really saying. Now, let's back up. Let me show you some things here. We're trying to put together the timing of when America might fall. And let me make this clear. I'm guessing. I do not know. God has not told me when America falls. But if we look at what he is saying, to me it's saying we don't have long. Kazakhstan took place in January. Ukraine took place in February. Then we had Pelosi visit Taiwan in August. Do you see a pattern? So when would Japan happen? Possibly late 2020. I'm not setting a date. Do not say I'd say this is going to happen 20. I do not know a date. I'm not setting a date. What I am trying to say is don't think it's 30 years down the road. Don't think it's 20 years down the road. I'd like it to be 10 years down the road, but I'm afraid it might be a whole lot closer. Now, if Japan does happen in 2022 or 23 or even 24, once we see Japan getting attacked by the Chinese, and I think Taiwan and Japan are probably going to be days or weeks apart. Then, probably days or weeks apart, Hawaii and Guam get hit, and then the United States get hit. So now let's go back. If this is true, if JB is already dead, if KH comes to power for only a moment of time, then the rightful king assumes his throne, just like Henry Gruver was shown. Then there'll be rejoicing. Remember what Jason Meeks was shown, that there'll be rejoicing in the streets. Matter of fact, there was also another guy, I'm trying to remember his name. He also saw rejoicing in the streets like after we'd won a great big war. An uproar for others. Some of the people start fighting against the government. There's a moment of peace. Hey, DJT's in control now. He's going to fix everything. But then the Russians attack. As I'm looking at this, I'm saying it could happen really quick. Now, let me put this in perspective here. I'm going to skip the explanation here. This was the headline. The U.S. dollar drops 30% in value just this week. President Xi Jinping of China has gone to visit Saudi Arabia. What do you suppose they're talking about? Oh, I can guess. They're talking about selling oil in the yuan. And then the subtitle says, Middle Eastern oil strikes deal with China instead of the U.S. Bingo. Well, one of the things that the first thing we looked for the fall of America is the fall of the dollar. Fall of the dollar, now that's the first thing. Then there's a perfect storm. That still relates to number one, the fall of the dollar. Then there's a food shortage crisis. Wheat and bread imports are a stalemate. That's what Coverstone was showing. Remember where the trucks and where the container ships are not moving. So we see the fall of the dollar. We see inflation. Things get really expensive. We split Israel. God splits America. And then Russia attacks. If you look at it through these lenses, you see what I'm talking about. Now, let's tie in what Leslie was told. January 22 of 06. Omer ushers in Palestinian state. What's that? That's the same thing as talking about here. Israel and Palestinian two-state solution reached. So, America will split Israel. Next headline, catastrophe hits America. What's that? That is your major earthquake hits the middle of the United States. See, first we split Israel, God splits America. All right, now let's look at the next one. One of America's greatest times of need. So America just got split from the Great Lakes all the way down to Tupelo, or maybe even all the way to the Gulf of Mexico. A huge earthquake. We're in shambles. We're crying for everybody to help. And our good friend Israel, that we bailed out so many times, they don't have anything to do with it. Why don't they want to help? Because we just split their land. They're mad at us. Israel is attacked because now the surrounding Arab nations say, hey, this is the best time. We're going to attack Israel. Now's the time to do it. So they go down and attack. Chaos reigns as Americans protest help to Israel. So America does not support helping Israel because Israel wouldn't help it. See, that's the attitude of the average secular person. Well, they didn't help us, so why should we help them? And when we don't help Israel, that's the last straw. Then God says, okay, fine. I told you I would bless those that bless Israel, and I will curse them that curse Israel. You've cursed America, right here. You've cursed Israel, and now it's time for judgment for you. If you'll put this together, to me it looks like we better pray. It looks, which is why I'm having another solemn September assembly, and I'm going to get all the dates and everything for that all here in the next few days. We got to pray. We got to pray. We're in trouble. America's in serious, serious trouble. Now, one more thing, and we're going to close. Headline, U.S. now pulling guns and ammo from active duty units to send to Ukraine. Why do you suppose they're doing that? Because the JB is disarming our military. He's doing everything he possibly can to destroy this nation. Why? Because in her was found the blood of prophets and of saints and of all that were slain upon the earth. I used to think, well, America, we're not the police officer of the world. How come America's supposed to be the one fixing this? Well, I've come to discover actually America is the police officer of the world. America is supposed to be the one that stops this evil. America is supposed to be the one that comes to the rescue of the hurting, the down, the poor, the downtrodden, and the Christian and the persecuted ones. But right now, all we care about is just having a bigger, nicer house, bigger bank account, a faster car, stuff like that. Headline, whoa, 41% of physical gold pulled from Chicago Mercantile Exchange kilo vaults in one day. See, what is that? What is that? I'll tell you what that is. These are the signs you see before a world war. People in high positions that have 41% of the physical gold in a mercantile exchange, you got that kind of gold, you know things. They know something. What do they know? I think they know that a world war is about to hit. I think they know world war is about to hit. And they are moving their assets, which, by the way, if you don't have some gold and silver, you're in trouble. A gold coin or two might get you and your family out of the nation. It might get you out of trouble. A silver coin or two might buy you food, gasoline, might buy you a coat when it's cold, might buy your life. You need to have some gold and silver, and for that I'll send you to cornerstoneassetmetals.com. Call them. Call them. Go to cornerstoneassetmetals.com. When you see 41% of the physical gold pulled out of Chicago Mercantile Exchange, somebody's scared. Somebody knows something we don't know. You got that kind of gold, you know things. You know what's coming. And they don't have to listen to the Prophecy Club to know it. They got inside sources. Now let's go on. Inflation in Germany could hit 70-year high of 10% amid Russia's natural gas squeeze, German central bank chief says. Now, why is that related? Let's back up. I'll show you where that relates. Right here. You see it says, perfect storm, inflation reaches new high, food shortage. That's another thing. You should have some food. And I recommend you go to josephkitchen.com. You need to get yourself, your family should have at least 1 year of food. At least 1 year of food. Most of these places, $9,000 to $10,000 to feed one person 1 year. I'll say it again. $9,000 to $10,000 to feed one person 1 year, but you can do it all at Joseph Kitchen for in the ballpark around $1,000 a year. Now let's back up here. Okay. Inflation's hitting Germany. Okay, if it's hitting Germany, guess what? You think Germany it's going to stop at Germany? Nope. It's coming to a neighborhood near you. In summary, I can't set a date, but I can tell you this. I think we're running out of time to get prepared. And some things to get prepared would be something like this. Now, let's talk about Joseph Kitchen. I actually cooked this loaf of bread you're seeing here. Takes me about 10 minutes to put the ingredients together, push it in, put it into a bread machine, push a button, 2 hours, 20 minutes later, I get a loaf of bread out like that. Now, if you cut that loaf of bread that weighs about 3 pounds, the loaves you get in the store have most of the good stuff removed, so they weigh about a pound. Most of the loaves you get in the store are about a pound. That's 3 pounds because it's got the good stuff still in it. Cut that into 14 slices, and if I eat a slice in the morning and the afternoon, I'm satisfied. So on that basis, one loaf can sustain, I didn't say it's everything we want, can sustain one person for a week. Based upon that, it'll get you excellent nutrition. It tastes good, long storage life, 10 minutes to combine the ingredients, 2 hours, 20 minutes to make it. This is a loaf that I actually made in my home. I ate that loaf. It's all gone now. Other wheat that you order arrives in paper bags, which means bugs, rice, humidity can get a hold of it and ruin it. But at Joseph's Kitchen, they send it out in 100 mil thick buckets. Gives you long shelf life. It's stackable. It's nitrogen infuses that hopefully gives it much longer shelf life, kills bugs and things like that. Easily resealable. Keep in a climate-controlled area. And they have it in stock. This is a picture, an actual picture of part of the warehouse. Here's another picture of these. Actually, each one of those boxes holds 2,500 pounds of wheat. And I think they've got 54 of those boxes, a bunch of them. So Joseph's Kitchen can ship it to you right now. You go to most of these places, they say out of stock. So here's what you want to do. Everybody needs to get a machine package. These are the things that you need to grind the wheat berries. Put them into a grinder. 30 seconds later, you have flour. You put that into the bread machine along with 6 other ingredients. Push about 2 hours, 20 minutes later, you have a nice hot loaf of whole wheat bread. Then you have to decide how much food you want. You want food 2 people 1 year, 4 people 1 year, 6 people 1 year. And if you want to make certain you have it when the electricity goes down, you can also get yourself a solar generator, all at josephskitchen.com. josephskitchen.com. CornerstoneAssetMetals.com is where I'll send you if you're thinking about getting gold or silver. I think everybody should have at least a fistful of gold and a fistful of silver, because there could be a time when you pull up to get gasoline and they might not want to take your loaf of bread, but you pull out a gold coin or a silver coin and you're probably able to get anything you want, even if the credit cards are down, even if the dollars are worthless. CornerstoneAssetMetals.com. CornerstoneAssetMetals.com. Also, I recommend you go to prophecyclub.com and get all 5 of my books. And I didn't write this one, but I did organize it. You get How Pre-Trib Won, Daniel, Secret Door to Understand Bible Prophecy, Miss the Mark, and you get 1 set of each of them, which is actually 40 books for a gift of $100. Next is, I'll send you to EMPShield.com. If you use the promo word prophecy, you get a $50 discount. What is that? Well, it looks like this. This is the one that goes into a car, okay? And you put the red wire to the red side of the battery, you put the black wire to the black side of the battery, and the green one attaches to the body of the car. Then you peel it off right back here. Just peel that off, stick it inside of the engine compartment of your car. And the whole point is when the electricity goes off, or when some kind of a suitcase or nuclear device goes off, this is supposed to be able to stop that device from destroying every computer chip in your car. Because if every computer chip is destroyed in your car these days, you couldn't possibly replace them all. Throw the car away. So, EMPShield.com, promo code PROPHECY.